Right, right. Good evening, and we're here. This is hard to believe, but we're at the end of the book.
Wow.
We're at the end of the book. So tonight we're going to go through elements 25 and 26 because as we started working on them, first of all, they tag on each other, and the information in them can kind of be reviewed and then gone into in depth later as you get to that part of your journey. Um, so we'll start. But before we do, we want to make sure you know they're doing the Zoom right after this so like Maureen, it's going to be at 6 o'clock your time, um, 8 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
And it's just information about coaching and what it involves. And you actually don't have to do these element classes. We do this because we enjoy it and we get a lot out of it. But as a coach, that's not a qualification. So anyway, so tonight we're going to talk about element 25, which was really an interesting element for us because it's habits of longevity. And my mom lived to 101, and her mom lived to 101. And the things we learned from this element was interesting because I always thought, well, wow, that's great genetics, right? That 101. My brothers always say, hey, you're going to live to 101. I'm like, now, wait a minute. We don't know that. We don't know that. There's no guarantees. So what we learned through these elements was like, that's just a really small percentage of what contributes to your longevity. And here's the thing. I mean, if you could ask a group of people, just a test group, how long do you want to live? Most people would say, I want to live as long as I feel good and my brain's working well, right? My body's working well. You don't want to be that person that, okay, they live into their 90s, but they're not in such great shape, right? So the good news is there is much you can do, but that is tied into that. And that's a little bit what we're going to be discussing tonight. And pat yourselves on the back because part of it is implementing the habits of health, which is what we've been doing all along, right? So, so the first one is just we okay, before I go further, I'm just going to take a step back just because Sue, you were not on when we made this announcement, and I want to make sure you know about it. But immediately following this at 6 o'clock, there is a Zoom that's being put on by some people from Optavia that it talks about coaching. And I think it will be fascinating. We're going to hop on it because we want to be part of that. But I'm going to send you right now that information, okay? To Sue. So yeah, so it starts at 9 o'clock. Even if you listen to it for just a little while, I think it might fascinate you. So, all right, now let's get
Thank
on to business. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing on behaviors that kind of enhance our chances of living longer. I mean, they're just going to help us in every regard. So adopting the habits of health actually, statistically, scientifically, will absolutely give you the chance to have a longer, healthier life.
you.
It's just, it's not an opinion, it is fact. In fact, one of the things there was a study done, I'm sure there's been a lot of studies done on this, but this one in particular they talked about, and I don't laugh, but they did it with monkeys. And they had a group of monkeys, and basically what they did is they fed them the healthiest way. They tried to make sure it was as stress-free as possible. that they got good sleep, that all the exercise, I mean, all the things that we kind of encourage you to do. And that group of monkeys outlived the other group of monkeys. So I don't know about you, but I want to be that group of monkeys. So anyway, and I'm sure that there's been a lot done with people too, but that was one that he cited. So maybe I'll do the bad news first. Most people will not see a century mark because of why. So a lot of people won't reach 100. Why? And you may say to yourself, I don't want to reach 100. But the reality is, if you're in good shape and you're feeling good, why wouldn't you want to reach 100? So, but the reason is this, it's because of the habits that we have and this obesogenic world. And we've talked about that before, that there's so much that contributes, right, to an unhealthy life. So the other thing he talks about, though, that I thought was very interesting is secondary aging. So, a lot of times we think about aging and we think about basically, I can't walk as well, or you know, maybe my balance isn't as good or what those things. But he also talks about something called secondary aging. And secondary aging is your organs that are aging and your mind. And so your mind is considered part of that. And I'm sure you've heard things about keeping your mind in good order and things you can do to improve it or to keep it vital, right? So one of the things that actually keeps your mind vital, and we just talked about this, just to give you a reminder, is emotional management. So if you think about it, if you're able to manage your emotions in a way that's a healthy way to do it, so you don't get yourself all upset over things, you don't get stressed out over things, that you're getting the right amount of sleep for your brain, the whole thing it just keeps you from aging. It keeps your brain in better shape. Um, have you ever seen older people? They'll be doing like crossword puzzles. I mean, I don't want to say I do it too, but
We play Scrabble.
we play Scrabble. We play Scrabble. Um, but these are things that keep your brain, and that actually keeps you healthier to go on at age. And Sue, you should know this because don't you work with, yep. So you kind of know
Young
this.
adult population. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So this is all real stuff. So now this is hard to believe, but we're gonna start to tie up element 25. The reason we're going to do that is what Dr. Anderson does in element 25 is he goes through different steps of things you can do for longevity. And when we started reading those steps, we were like, hey, we know all this. We know all this. And then we started realizing, you know what? I bet you that even though you guys know it on some levels, the question is, are you doing it? And that's what we had to ask ourselves. So, do you want to kind of talk
Yeah,
about that?
well, some of it, a lot of this is common sense, and we were a little surprised on some things that were in the list, because it's just like
It made us laugh.
wear your seatbelt, and was one of them, and which is it will prolong your life when you get in a wreck. So anyway, so there's some things that he talks about in here, and I'm just gonna highlight a couple of them. And the step one is of the habits of longevity is to do right now is, if you any way possible, eliminate any type of tobacco, right? Eliminate recreational drugs. So we'll just leave that sitting there. Uh, we 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 also they talk about restraint, wear the seatbelt, drive the speed limit. I mean, these things like, oh, what does that help? I mean, but it's common sense stuff, right?
So, but here's the conclusion of this. A lot of people die before their time because they either do these things or don't do these things, right? They're not wearing their seatbelt. This is what happens. They're right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of our conclusion, is the reason he was kind of going over some of these things.
Yeah.
Even things like being careful in the sun for skin cancer, making sure so basic things, but just a reminder that the importance of those things is they actually give you longevity. So just
So I showed Nancy some Facebook gifts of about why men die early, and they, like putting a ladder on top of a plow that stretches 40 foot above the air and stand on the top rung. So those are real simple things. Those are things real logical but common sense things, and that's what this is about. So that is to do right now, and then step two is to create a healthy environment. And so, like, and we know this part, eliminating toxic foods, cleaning supplies and other poisons, ensure that your water's clean, ensure that the air is clean. So those are environmental issues, basically. Lock the doors when you're not home. Those are just common sense things. The third step is to get a yearly checkup, and that's just right. Okay, did a yearly checkup, and so just see your provider once a year to make sure everything's doing well. And so those are basic it, right? Those three basically. Oh, there's
yeah,
more? All
and
right.
wait, but there's more.
But there's more. Brush your teeth. No. So anyway, health and
Yeah,
inflammation.
I'm serious. It's like going to the dentist. Um,
Go to your dentist.
yeah,
Number four. Number five.
it's a big one. Okay, this is one we don't always put in there, but reach and maintain a healthy weight.
Yeah.
So, if you started the program like I did because I was vain and I wanted to look good, but now I get how important it is to my health. Well, and maybe a little, but um, this is part of longevity. So I just want you to know, I'm not going to say who I spoke with, but I did speak to someone close to me and my family and had a disagreement because they said, well, if you're overweight, that doesn't affect
Health.
your health. And that is so contrary. That is so contrary. And I believe that person feels that way because they're trying to justify that they struggle with their weight. So and I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm just saying the reality is when you carry extra weight, especially around your middle, that does affect your health.
Is very
Proves
clearly a different than that. So
Yeah.
this one is so reach and maintain healthy weight. Reaching it is sometimes easier than maintaining it, but both of those are important. Number six is incorporate all healthy habits of health. So which is what we're
Sleep,
going over.
motion. We're getting you guys all to motion, including us, and we're
Yeah.
doing it and we're increasing it. So it's really good.
Hydration.
Hydration. The amino acids are helping us a lot,
Yeah.
a lot. And then the last one is
Attaining optimal health.
Yeah, is to keep working towards that.
So there's an optimal health for whatever age you're at. There's an optimal health. So an optimal health at my age is not the same as an optimal health at 30, but there's an optimal health at my age bracket that we strive to get towards. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's kind of, if you have the book, I recommend that you just kind of run through the list. But these are just things just to keep in mind and to realize, even when it seems like something as simple as making sure you're not exposed to UV rays with the sun, that's actually a health, it's a health thing. We don't think about it that much, but it is a health thing. So, okay, so element 26 was ultra health. And I think that's something that if you're still in your weight loss phase, that you're not necessarily putting a lot of focus on this. However, you will be. You will be. So whether you're starting ultra health and trying to move towards that, or you're about to do that, or you're going to do that, no matter what, it's a journey and you never stop. It's not, I think I was under such a wrong thought process with thinking if I lose the weight and just maintain it, I've reached the goal. And always hoping without exercise. Just saying. Anyway, now I realize no, it's got to be part of the health journey. And even with our exercising now, and our eating, good eating, and taking amino acids and making sure we're eating the right nutrition, even with that, we're always moving forward to something a little better. That's the goal, right? Always just a little better. So he talks about that genetics really are only about 20 to 30% of what really affects your health for longevity. Okay, 20 to 30%. 70 to 80% comes from your lifestyle health journey.
Mm.
That's substantial, right? That really impacts you. 0.01% is luck. 0.01%. So basically, where's the control? Pretty much in what we do every day, right? So that can be the bad news, but that actually is the good news. That is the very good news. So here's where we are on the health scale. Either you are very sick, non-sick, not necessarily healthy, okay, but non-sick, because there are a lot of people that aren't necessarily on medications yet or anything, but they are not healthy, right? Or there's optimal health, which is what we all should be heading towards. And then after that is ultra health. Okay, so you have to kind of think, okay, where am I on that scale? If you're still working on losing some weight, you might be going towards optimal health. If you've already gotten to where you want to be, then you're probably going to be going towards ultra health, right? If you haven't even started, I just talked to a gal today, and she really is I would say she is in a non-sick because she doesn't have a lot of medical problems, but she is not really healthy, right? She's not really optimal health. And so we're working with her, actually, Karen and I are working with her to move towards that. So, all right. So what do you do, right? What do you do really to get to that ultra health? That's what we're talking about tonight. And this is where you're going to end. This is where you're going to move towards and be pushing into for the rest of your life, really. Just always going for that extra healthy thing. So first of all, you're going to apply the Habits of Health transformational system. So all that, for all the research that science has done, the pieces that really pop out from what they say really relates to the transformational system of what Dr. Anderson teaches. And that's all based on science anyway. All right. So and remember, it's not just eating, it's all these other things too. So did you want to say something about that? No? Okay. So we want to apply the transformational systems. We want to reach and maintain optimal health, meaning a healthy weight. And then we want to go for ultra health. So, did you know maintaining a normal weight, so that's a good BMI, okay, guys, can add up to 7 years to your life? That's a lot.
Wow,
Yeah, that's a lot.
it is.
Not smoking will add years. And if you drink, it's recommended keep it moderate, 1 to 2 glasses per day max. So that's just something to keep in mind, right? Emotional management, stress reduction, and healthy sleeping all contribute to ultra health. So if you have trouble in one of those areas, that is something to work on for sure. So let's ask you some personal questions. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Where does your blood pressure fall? Anybody willing to say?
It's low. Mine's low.
Good job, Maureen. Right on.
I just had it taken last week.
Do you
It was like
remember what it was?
118 over I think it was 120.
No, that was probably
Wait.
low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
It was probably like 118 over 100 over something like that.
60 or
120.
70.
120. Oh shoot.
I know.
Oh no. I'm usually 80 over 120, I think. Isn't that how the but I was even lower than that this last time.
Good.
So
And I bet they were pleased about your weight.
no, you know what? It was for my infusion, and so they don't
Oh.
care. They just like
Oh,
look to see
okay.
how much you weigh, and that's how much medication you get. So
Got it.
yeah.
Got it. Well, this is what's recommended. So just so when you go to the doctors and they tell you, you kind of know what range you might want to stay in. So it's recommended between 110 over 95 to 70.
Oh,
Yeah, that probably
I
is
got that
close.
backwards.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah.
And or to even to 75 over 60, which I thought, wow, because that's like me. I've
So
like,
these are the top numbers. There's your bottom numbers. So the top numbers should
oh,
be
it should be 100
between 110 and
95,
95, and your bottom
numbers 75 to 60.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
your heart
That makes
rate.
sense.
Yeah, you're right.
Heart rate.
You're right. You're right. Sorry about that. Okay, how about BMI? Okay, for longevity and ultra health, BMI should be somewhere between 24.9 on the BMI chart and no less than 20. So there are two sides to it, all right? You can be too skinny, and you don't want that.
No, that'll never happen.
And I'm with Maureen. That's never going to happen for me, Maureen.
It's just never gonna happen.
But that's
I
okay.
never have to worry about that.
But being healthy, honestly, guys, being healthy is the most important part. And we don't always want to use the BMI chart, but really that is a very good indicator. So check it again. And here's the thing, even if you're not, even if you feel like you got a ways to go, it's okay. If you're always pursuing better health, you're going to get there.
You bet.
You're going to get there and you're going to feel good doing it, right? Okay, here's another thing. And I loved this when Clark and I shared this. So
Yeah, you did.
men should have no more than 12% body fat, but women can have between 17 and 20.
Now there's a wide range. There's a wide range.
I'm just saying there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
But that's something else. Now, I have not been measured for body fat. I was years ago. But Karen, have you ever had that done?
Um, kind of. There's two kinds of measuring body fat. One is with calipers, and the other kind is like in water. And so I never did the water thing, but years and years and years, a million years ago, when they did the calipers, I
Okay.
was still a little bit over, even though I was even thinner than I am now.
So how is it that they actually do it? Is it where
They
they
pinch your
pinch your
fat roll.
Wow.
okay.
Mine would be a little fuller.
I
than
think
one.
on your back or something, or your side, they'll pinch it with this caliper thing, and it measures your body fat. I
Amen.
don't know how
Yeah, amen.
correct it is.
It might be a while before I go for that, but I'd be
Yeah,
interested to know. Especially after exercising, I think that helps a lot. So, all right. So this is something you need to know. Unless you have learned and applied the habits of health, which is what we've been studying over the last half a year, you really can't come forward to ultra health.
You're not ready
Okay,
yet.
you're not ready. And it's just, and why? It's just because it would be too hard. the whole premise of this program is, it's habits of health, one healthy habit at a time.
Process.
It's a process. And here's the thing, you cannot like beat yourself up over it. If you have started to walk or to do some kind of movement, that's huge.
Yeah.
Do that. Make that a habit. It will feel good. Are you going to be perfect doing it? Probably not. But don't, it's the whole thing. It's just like if you choose to eat something that doesn't necessarily support your health, you don't beat yourself up over it. You just say, okay, I chose to do that. And now I'm going to choose to eat something that's going to make me healthy, that's going to help contribute to that. So it's the same thing with exercise. We've been really good. I think one day we didn't. It was yesterday. It was
Sunday.
Sunday because we had church and then we had baptisms and we had all this anyway.
No excuse.
No excuse.
No excuse.
But yesterday we didn't. But this morning we went out, felt great.
We went further this morning.
And we went further. We decided, okay, we
We got 1 week under our belt.
right, and now we're going for the next week.
So
We're
we
going to add
extended.
to it.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to add to it. So that's how you want. So it's the whole idea that you make whatever you're doing your norm, and then you just kind of pump it up a little bit when you're ready, right? You just do it a little bit more. Then it's not like it's a big deal.
And make it enjoyable as possible.
Yeah. So if you prefer, say you don't love walking but you love pickleball or something, do that. Or some people we're going to start to do more weight training too, because we need to be implementing that. But there's just lots of activities. And I want to recommend, there is an app that's really good for this called Aptiv, and it's APPTIV. Now they did a special price on it because you do have to pay for it. But it was not that expensive. A special price for Optavia. I don't know.
Price.
It's half price. So I don't know if they've really released that to clients yet. I know coaches can get it. So when they release the active line, which is the amino acids and the whey protein, they're going to probably release that app to
You have
everybody
to have a
too.
certain sign up link. to
Yeah.
get that
So
price.
so if you go in there and you're like, oh, it seems expensive, it's because they probably just haven't. And we'll get that to you. So don't worry. So the whole thing is getting all of this as a normal process, all the habits of health, right? Once you feel like you're good with that, that's when you start to move towards ultra health. And there's 3 parts of ultra health. 1, dietary optimization. So what is that? It is things like considering organic,
Plant-based.
more plant-based. One of the things, Dr. Anderson is a big advocate of eating plant-based versus a lot of animal protein. However, the program is designed where we'd say, you can have 5 to 7 ounces, right, of animal protein, blah, blah, blah. And the reason he does that is he knows there's a lot of people that just aren't willing to give up, their meat altogether or even part of it, right? So he just allows that. But if you can lean into, even if you made one dinner a week more plant-based, I mean, that would be a good thing to move towards.
Yeah.
If you can. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank
And
you.
again, you wanna try to do fish if you can. If you like it, try to do fish once a week or twice a week.
Increases your health by once a week, increases your health by 15%, I heard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Helps heart attacks.
Yep.
Okay. And the only other thing I want to say about that is I have a daughter, Marie, and Marie, kind of, I don't know, she was born with this nutritional
Gene.
gene. Anyway, what can I say? She's a stepdaughter, so she probably got it from her biological mother because she certainly didn't get it from her stepmother. Anyway, um, what she does, I watch her. She's like this 4'11" little powerhouse, and she's not okay, guys. She's not that light, but she is not heavy at all. But she is very athletic and she's very conscious about things she eats. And I don't mean like, oh, I can't have that, cupcake. She's not like that at all. But if you watch her, like if you watch her put a meal together, she'll be like, oh, yes, I want a little bit of the red vegetables and I want to make sure I've got some green. And she's just got this kind of, realizing there's vitamins and minerals in different colored vegetables that are good for her, right? And she leans towards leaner protein, although she likes a good ribeye on occasion. Um, does she eat bread? She will, but she is very
Particular.
particular. She likes a heartier bread, and I'm not sure if part of it is she just knows, or part of it is just instinctual, or what. But anyway, her choices are just great choices, and she loves to eat. This girl loves to eat, and she eats a lot. But she is just really, if you watch her, it's just really an education in how to choose well.
She's very active.
And she's very active, which is something as you go into ultra health, you'll want to do actually feel better, right? Movement enhancement. That's the whole thing, just like we were talking about, we did this amount of exercise last week, and we're just moving towards adding in something else, moving in towards adding something else. And I think that just builds on itself, builds on itself. Then all of a sudden you're feeling stronger. So say Sue's out there, she's walking a couple of miles at night, she feels good, and all of a sudden it's not a big deal when her friends say to her, you want to go for a hike. So instead of wanting to climb back in bed because she's carrying around 30 extra pounds, she's going to be, I'm going to go for a hike. And what does that do? It's like this circle, right? It just makes her stronger. She feels better. Maybe she makes better choices in her food and she adds more exercise. And so she is moving on that line towards ultra health. That's what happens. It just builds on itself. Okay, something we don't talk a lot about. Third thing, last thing, guys, brain function, brain health. Okay, so Sue will know this because she works with a lot of older people. I know it because I am an older person. But so your brain needs exercise, and not just thinking exercise. Actually, when you physically exercise, it actually helps your brain. So when you're out there taking that walk, it's actually going to help your brain. And I want you to know something, and I can't guarantee it. I don't know, but my balance, I'm not dizzy anymore. I feel like I've just gotten like a new lease on life and I can't tell you how much of it is exercise, how much of it is the amino acids. I don't know. But what I know is I am better than I was a week and a couple days ago when we started.
You've been busy for over a year.
He knows, because I'd get up and I'd be like, oh, the room's spinning, And I know it's because you're such a cutie, but it's just my brain. It's just I don't know what was wrong. So I am such a big advocate of the exercise and what you're giving your body, because that makes all the difference. It makes me feel younger knowing when I get up, I don't get dizzy.
Well, I know this, when we homeschooled our kids and their brain stopped, they just got tired or whatever, we would send them out on the trampoline for 15 minutes. And they would come back and they were ready to go. Their brains were functioning. They learned more. Their absorption rate was high, and it was connected to that exercise. So That's all. That is absolutely true.
And more for keeping your brain healthy is also emotional management or stress reduction. So if you've got these stress factors, and everybody does have stress, okay,
Yeah.
guys, I'm not saying we don't all deal with it. It's not that you aren't going to have stress. It's how are you going to handle stress? That's what I mean. If you're a person of faith, we turn to our God for that. Okay. But we also have to manage our emotions with that. We also have to trust him. We have to, right? So there is a process that we have to go through. So stress reduction, keep that in mind that actually affects your brain. So he talks a little bit about brain food. So things that feed your brain to keep it healthy is this is interesting. Reading. Reading is good for your brain. Writing is good for your brain. Puzzles, conversation. And I loved that. Conversation is good for your brain. Okay. Dancing. Okay. Don't tell the younger generation. Video games. They're actually good for your brain. They already have too much video games, but it actually is good for your brain. Learning an instrument. So can you see what that is? So maybe you're not physically working your body, but you are mentally working your body. I love numbers. So I like to do, I do accounting for the church still and I like it. And it's good for my brain to do that. Okay. Exercising 5 times a week, good for your brain. It actually helps prevent dementia later in life. And that really played out for my mom. My mom did start to get a little dementia, but she was like 99 when she started that. She went to Europe in her mid-90s by herself.
Wow.
In her
But
mid-90s.
She was doing aerobics every day.
Yeah, she did. This is what she did. She did water aerobics. She taught water aerobics. She had little 3-pound weights and she'd lift them at home and she always walked. She did the gardening. She was very social. So she interacted. And now I can see with conversations how maybe that helped her brain too, right? So, and here's another one. We're going to end with this and this is something we do not do consciously, but practice relaxation methods.
Mhm.
Our lives are so full and so busy, and it's so easy to get caught up, and and we struggle with it. So we just want you to know that we struggle with being very intentional about taking time to relax. But it's very important for brain health. Because, you think about like an electrical circuit, if you had it going too much going on, what happens? It burns out, right? It's the same thing with our brains. We need to be intentional about, okay, we've worked all day, we've been busy. We need to take an hour to unwind and let our brains so do what you enjoy doing. Maybe you want to just relax and read a book or whatever, take a little short nap, whatever it is, but be intentional about that because it affects your health, not only your physical health, but your brain health. So, all right, did you get 1 or 2 things out of that? I know, it's easier said than done. I just want you guys to know that. But I think the more you hear it, the more you go, okay, you know what? I can do that one little thing, or I can do that. So you're not going to be able to do it all. That's okay. But pick 1 or 2 things and just say, you know what? I'm going to do this. And I'm just going to make that a habit. And that's going to contribute to longevity and ultra health for you. All right. All right. For those of you that can be on tonight on the coaching Zoom,
20 minutes.
it's in 20 minutes. I'm going to see you on there. It's going to be great because these coaches are amazing and they're going to share with you really what it's like to be a coach. And I mean, we're a little biased, but maybe they'll be more objective. I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. All right. All right. Hope to see you guys
Okay.
on in a few minutes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I